Let's settle down for today's talk and say sadhu to start. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Katame cha te bhikkave cha Aparihaniyadhamma na sanganikarāmati. Dear Venerable Sister, dear Dhamma friends, what gives meaning to our lives? That's a question that you have to ask yourself. We might find meaning in certain things of our life. Probably one of the main things would be other people. Maybe your family and friends. You find meaning in them. You find meaning in your spouse. Maybe supporting them, being together with them, spending time with them. That's how you might be finding meaning in your life. And maybe parents. They usually find meaning in their children. They try to support them. They try to make their lives comfortable. And sometimes they make them achieve the targets that they couldn't achieve themselves. That way we try to, support the children. And maybe you as a parent, you might find meaning in them. So this way, we have certain people in our lives that help us to find meaning in us. You spend time with them. You feel spending your life with them. And if they feel distant, then you are uncomfortable. Right? So this is one of the important things, important aspects of our lives where we deal with other people, and that way we try to be comfortable. That is the very idea. Without them, you don't feel comfortable. Now even these, let's say 7 days, you have made many arrangements at home. You had made sure that everyone is well fed. Everything was organized, and only doing those things, you came here. And by organizing those things, by making those arrangements only, you can be peaceful here. Let's say if you are uncertain about certain things at home, then you might be worrying about that time after time. And you might feel like that you want to make a phone call. Right? So all those thoughts, worries come because you are uncertain about the well-being of a certain family member or a friend. Right? So this way, in our lives, we have at least few number of people that we deal with them daily, and in a way, they give us meaning. Parents find meaning in their children. And without them, they feel like part of their life is missing. Spouses find meaning in each other. And without them, they probably can't continue their life. Right? So that way, one of the important aspects of our life is the other people. The people that we like to spend time with, friends and family. Right? And I remember one of the books, it was written about Nazi concentration camps, and the title of the book is Man's Search for Meaning. That's the title. Viktor Frankl, he's one of the psychiatrists, and he was in one of those concentration camps. And he writes a book about his own experience there. And whatever the experiences he had with other prisoners. So during these many years, they were working very hard They had to work, maybe do construction work daily. That type of a workload they had to go through. Then they were fed very little, not sufficient, not enough food for the work given to them. And their hygiene was worst in the world. And they didn't get much supply as medicine. So that type of a living condition those people had for many years. Daily they have to go to work. Daily they receive a small portion of food. And daily they have to come and rest in the concentration camp. Right? So that way they spend many years there. And during that time, Frankl observes that these people, as long as they have meaning outside the concentration camp, they are surviving. They don't have any meaning inside. They are in the worst condition, most terrible condition a human being can be. And their life is uncertain. Don't know when the death will come. Right? So that type of a situation they have inside the concentration camp. But these people, as long as they have meaning outside the concentration camp, probably one idea would be to get together with their spouse again and live a happy life. Right? Maybe another idea would be to get back together with the children. Make sure that their well-being is secured. So those prisoners, as long as they have a meaning outside this concentration camp, they will survive. Without food, without medical support, without any proper hygiene, these people will survive because in their mind they have a meaning in probably like with their family members or spouses, whatever. Right? So, as long as they have a meaning in their life, as long as they have a hope in their life, these people survive. But let's say after few months, few years, they get a news from outside. They hear that their spouse was killed in some other concentration camp. Or they hear their children are no longer living. Right? So that type of a terrible news comes to them. And when the news comes, these people lose the meaning outside of their concentration camp. So the reality hits them hard. And within few days, few weeks, these people become weak, get sick, and they die eventually. Right? So this observation, Frankl, he has observed for many years. So his title, he's saying Man's Search for Meaning. As long as there is some meaning in one's life, whatever the terrible conditions, they will survive. Once you lose that meaning, it's a threat. It might threat your life. It might threat your very being. Right? So you can see even being in a concentration camp, being in worst kind of situations, still the people could survive as long as they have some meaning in their life. So same goes for us. Although we might not acknowledge it, our family members, our friends, they are a huge part of you. Whether you like it or not, that's the reality. Right? So if you spend time with them without you knowing, you find meaning in your life. If you see their well-being without you knowing, you find meaning in your life. If you spend more and more time with them, that's a way to find meaning in your life. So these ways we have survived. But Buddha, he is suggesting us something else. As the practice, he is suggesting us something else. So today we are with the fourth point. He is suggesting things that we should do in order to non-decline in this life. The fourth point he is suggesting like this. Khatamechate bhikkave cha Aparihaniyadhamma na ganasanga na sanganika ramati. What what are the 6 qualities that lead to non-decline? The fourth point he is making is not taking delight in company. That's the very idea. So we have survived all these years, decades, taking delight in certain people, taking delight in friends and family. That's how we have survived. Now Buddha is suggesting that we shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't be taking delight in other people. That's what he is saying. Especially because one day, let's say, some bad fortune comes to one of those people. Right? And you'll be in a terrible condition for sure. Maybe they are already dead. They are no longer with you. But you are suffering for many years, many decades. That's the reality. I know some people who are unconditionally supporting these type of establishments. Whether the meditation, whether other requisites, those people, they are unconditionally supporting. And if you go deep, if you find the reasons or the experiences they had, probably that very support towards the practice, towards Dhamma, is because they lost someone in their life. They had that terrible experience and no longer they could be peaceful in the usual worldly ways of living. They decided to support this practice. They decided to dedicate the whole life towards the practice. Right? So those type of reasons we can find in most of our lives. Right? All of us, due to certain misfortunes, we have turned towards this practice. And maybe those misfortunes were with a certain person. We don't know, right? But that very incident made us interested in the practice of Dhamma, in the practice of Buddha's teaching. So Buddha is suggesting us we shouldn't be taking delight in other people. Because if you take delight in them, then when you face that terrible situation, you might not survive. You won't be able to be peaceful in your mind. So some of the people, they suggest the idea, they say, as long as I go first, I'll be fine. Right? My family members are there, I go first. I meet the death first. If I meet the death first, then I'll be fine. But that very statement will be proven wrong when you come to that experience. Because death means not only death of your body. Instead, death means death of the world that you have created. Right? All the friends, family, all your properties. So when you die, it's not only death of your body. Instead, you have to separate from all the worldly things. So it doesn't matter whether they die or whether you die, the separation is there. Right? So when you are not ready for that type of a thing, then those type of encounters, they will shock you. You will cry, you will scream. Those things happen. And maybe you will be led to a depression, suicide. Right? All those things come. So that's why Buddha is warning us that we shouldn't be taking delight in other people. If you want non-decline in this life, then you shouldn't be taking delight in other people. Although we hear this teaching, it is not really easy to practice this. Let's say one of the parents here, I suggest them that they shouldn't be taking delight in their children. But how much it is practical when I suggest that? Naturally, you are inclined towards, taking delight in all those people in your life. So it's not easy. The teaching is clear, but how not to take delight in other people? That's a question that we have to experiment with. Probably we may have to take many years of practice in order to reduce this even a little. That is true. And especially when it comes to meditation, you can really feel who are the people that you are missing in your life. Maybe much of the thoughts are regarding certain family members. Much of the thoughts are fonding them. Right? So that way, you get to experience how much you are taking delight in other people. So when we listen to Buddha's teaching, we hear that that's what we should do. But it is not easy to practice that. And some people, they simply think that if I leave all these people, and if I go to a faraway forest, I'll be peaceful. That idea most of you might have. As even monkhood or the practice or the meditation, you see this romantic picture. You get into a fight with your spouse and you will say, I'll leave everything, I go to a forest and I'll be a meditator. Or I'll be a monk. It draws a romantic picture. True. But when you do it, that experience won't be so romantic. You come to a forest, you realize probably how much you have found meaning in other people. You make many excuses to leave as soon as possible. Even surviving 7 days, it is not easy. Your mind knows that you go after 7 days. That assurance is there. But still, how much of a struggle that you have to go through. Imagine one day you come with that uncertainty. You decide that you won't go back. When that happens, you can see your mind goes crazy. It keeps thinking about those people. It keeps creating logical reasoning to go back. Right? All those thought processes will start working against you. And fortunately, I get to meet many people who come as beginners. Some of those people, they say, I came to stay here forever. I came here to become a monk. So we are so happy to welcome them. We say, very nice, we are happy. But I don't usually take them seriously. Because you know why? Many encounters have taught me not to take them seriously. Right? We say, okay, I used to probably spend like 45 or so minutes explaining the whole system. Now I no longer do it. I instead say, okay, good that you have come here to stay, not to leave ever again. Just continue with the system and figure out how things are run. My precious time is not wasted explaining and supporting for 45 minutes. Because usually, probably like 95% of them will leave within couple of days. That's the reality. Unfortunately, that's the reality. And when they come to report that they are leaving, some people, they disappear without even telling. They come asking so many questions. Mante, are there snakes in the forest? Leeches, do they bite? And does it heal fast? All those questions they ask when they are coming to the monastery. But in the night time, they disappear. And when they disappear, no worries about the leeches, no worries about the snakes. They simply run through the forest sometimes. Right? That type of a mentality they get. And some people, they come and they give very nice logical reasoning to go home. So when they come and tell us that I am leaving, I had to go home for some reason, I take some time asking why you are leaving. Now, suddenly I am so interested and I am asking so much details about their reasoning to leave. And they come up with very nice answers. You can write a separate book about it. The reasons to go home. Even the ROs, the retreat organizers, they too can contribute to that book a lot. Because they also experience when there are like 70, 100 people here. Every day a couple of people come and they try to logically explain why they have to go home. They give very nice reasoning. I remember one fellow, he stayed probably like 2-3 days and he was telling, Bhante, I have to go home due to some reason. I asked him why. He is saying, I have this pending phone bill. I have to pay that. That's why I'll go home. Soon after paying it, I'll return. Right? So I asked him why suddenly the phone bill came to your mind. He's saying if they disconnect my connection, then there's a problem. I asked him whether the phone bill arrived after coming here. No, but it was there before. Right? So those type of reasoning you can see funny. But there is a deeper reason. Right? You are missing meaning in your life. So you have to run to your friends, run to your family, trying to find meaning. So although becoming a monk or a meditator, it appears as a romantic picture, the reality is not that easy. Right? You feel like you have, in your mind, you have this romantic picture, shaved head, robes, and going on Pindapata, all the devotees come and offer you food. That type of a romantic picture you have, but in practice, it is not so comfortable. And when you really jump into the water, you realize how hard this struggle is. But what I suggest is, if don't plan being in the ground, thinking about swimming. That's not gonna work. That's not the way. Right? Most people, they don't even jump. They simply on the ground, looking at the water, thinking or planning the swimming. That type of a thing most people do. But at least if you jump, then you are in the struggle. You get to experience the reality. And sometimes you figure out the way to swim. Some people drown. What to do? That's also a reality. I know someone, he tried to become a monk 3 times. Right? 3 times. So he comes to the monastery. He stays for like 6-7 months even. And the seniors, the monks, they decide that this person is appropriate. And they make him an anagarika. Those brown color wearing people. Then even after a few more months, they decide that next week we'll be ordaining you. So this person has done all the hard work, stayed for like 9-8 months. And now the final announcement came that within couple of days you will be ordained. As soon as he hears that message, he can't no longer be here. Right? In the night time, he escapes the monastery and goes home. Probably spend few months at home. Then again, the mind suggests that we should do this. Then again, he comes. Right? Probably meet Lokuswami Nansa says, Bhante, I got you ginger beer. Right? I came again. Right? Again started the whole process. Had to spend so many months to become anagarika, then anagarika for many months. Then finally, the announcement comes. Next week, you will be ordained. As soon as he hears that announcement, no longer can survive here. So he has done this 3 times. Right? Ran home for 3 times. And he is saying, Bhante, I know for sure that I can't do this. Because I tried. Not only planned on the ground, but I jumped into the water and I tried it. I know for sure that I can't do this. Many people don't do that, no. So at least when you jump, when you try, you get to realize probably you can't do it. That trying is worth it, right? You jump into the water, you try to swim, you realize you can't do it. It takes few months. Your life might go back for a couple of years, but then again you can recover that. So trying is appreciated, and when you try only, you get to realize the nature of your mind. You get to realize how much meaning you have found in other people. Even for yogis, the regular meditators, we suggest that at least once in your lifetime, try to spend like few months in this type of environment. Not doing puja, that's not the suggestion. Instead, doing meditation in a monastery or a forest, spend some time, probably like 3-4 months. And when you spend that much of a length only, you get to see different shapes and shades of this mind. You get to experience how much meaning you have found in other people. When you don't have the opportunity to meet them, when you have no contact with them, how much of a struggle it is, right? So in your lifetime, at least once, try to have that experience. Not becoming a monk. I am not talking about becoming a monk. Instead, at least 3-4 months in a silent retreat like this. Spending time on your own. And when you do that, you get to realize so many things about yourself. You get to realize what you have valued in your mind. That experience is important probably for you to go through death properly. I am not suggesting don't be a struggle if you spend 3 months. At least it will give a glimpse towards it. That experiment is important in your life. And let's say now Buddha is saying that we shouldn't be taking delight in company. We shouldn't be taking delight in other people. But what is the proper way to develop this ability? Being in a household, it won't do it. Run into a forest, it won't do it. So we have to discuss, we have to figure out what's the proper way to develop this ability. Initially, the first step would be to go into solitude. And that's true. Come into a retreat like this. Now, even for a beginner, during these 7 days, they will get to experience many things about themselves because they have come to a retreat. Now, even during today's Q&A, somebody was saying that simply go to solitude. That'll solve your problem. That type of idea. But when you go to solitude, you take some meditation advice. You go to a secluded place. You keep meditating. What will happen is that you won't last for a long time. Especially you think that you can go into a forest, you can alone meditate. But that reality is not so true. So the best way is to approach this with a group like this. That's the very idea. You can go to solitude, you think that you will be peaceful, but when you go to that environment, then only you realize even the meditation, it needs continuous advice. It needs continuous support from a group. Kalyana Mitta. That is necessary. Otherwise, without it, I don't think you can go very far. That's why every day we are meeting and we are discussing our meditation experience. It feels repetitive. Most of you feel drowsy and sleeping. But still, we do it daily. We do this talk daily. Why? Because you need that support. Without that support, you can't really continue this practice. It is not that easy. It's not that simple. So it's a gradual approach that you have to take. Coming to a retreat like this, coming to solitude like this, that is the initial step. But there are many more steps in this very practice. Now there's this very nice teaching, that very particular sutta is about solitude, and the name of that sutta is Thero, a bhikkhu named elder. That's the name of the sutta. So this bhikkhu, his name was elder, and he was a lone dweller. He goes to the village alone, he comes back alone, he eats his meals alone, he do the walking, sitting, meditation alone, and that's how he is doing his practice. So he was a long dweller, and he was praising that long dwelling behavior. So this monk continued his practice for some time, and one time certain monks, they went to Buddha and more like filed a complaint, saying, Bhante, there's this monk who his name is elder, and he is doing long dwelling, and he is praising that. That complaint was filed with Buddha. Then Buddha asked him to come and was asking, monk, are you a lone dweller and are you praising that practice? Then this monk says, yes, Bhante, I am. Then Buddha asked him, what is your way of lone dwelling? Then this monk says, I go to the village alone, I come back alone, I eat my meals alone, I sit, walk in meditation alone, and that's how I am a lone dweller, and I am praising that very behavior. That's what he said. Buddha said, then yes, you can say there is a lone dwelling kind of a thing like this, but that's not the proper way of lone dwelling. That is the very idea Buddha is giving. Instead, he is saying there is a different way of lone dwelling in this life. If you are a true long dweller, then you should be following this different way. That's the advice Buddha gave to him. So we can see in this practice, seclusion or solitude, it is considered in 3 different aspects. The first one is bodily seclusion. You go to a forest, you leave your friends and family, you come to a retreat. So that is only the bodily seclusion. With your body you have secluded from the surrounding, right? That's what you have done. So only with your body you have secluded in this environment. And some people, they don't even appreciate that. They start talking and making friends with other people. And you spend 7 days talking to them, and you end up being best friends. But that's not the way of the practice. Probably you have wasted 7 days making a best friend, trying to find delight in some other people instead of the usual people. Right? That's not the way. Instead, the bodily seclusion is appreciated. In this practice, that is appreciated. You go to a forest, you spend some time there, you feel somewhat comfortable. Some people, they feel dreadful, fearful. That's because they have spent much of their time with other people only. They haven't spent time alone. But for a person who appreciates solitude, they can feel a certain level of peace. Initially you feel it, but bodily seclusion is only a single part of this. It is not complete. That's why Buddha is saying that although you are a lone dweller, that's not the way that is appreciated in this practice. You can be alone, but you are with a second person. That's what Buddha is saying. Who is this second person? That's the question that you have to ask. Most of you might think that my second person is my spouse. My second person is my children. That type of thinking you have. Some people think their second person is their pets. Right? You go to internet, the most frequent videos or photos, it's about cats or dogs. Without them, there'll be much more crazy people in this world. Because those, even animals, the pets, they create so much comfort in one's life. So probably a pet, you think that this is my second person. Some of you will say your spouse, some of you will say your children. That way we try to find a second person in our life. But Buddha's view is much wider. He's saying that those people you have found only in this life. Those second people you have found only in this life. But there is a deeper one, a greater one, that you have continued for many eons. Who is that person? Who is that person? That person, Buddha says, is attachment. Although you go to a forest, you are with a second person, and that second person is attachment. Attachment in your mind. That is the second person you are with. And it doesn't matter that you feel that the other people are important in your life. Whatever those feelings arise based on attachment. That's the only idea. Because you were finding meaning in those people. You were finding meaning in others due to the very cause of attachment. So you are with a second person. It doesn't matter you go to a forest. Still you have a second person. This second person makes your mind go crazy sometimes. That's why most people, they don't like the solitude. You are with bad company. You are with company with yourself, and in your mind there's this second person, and it doesn't feel comfortable. So bodily seclusion is appreciated in this practice, but that's not the end. Instead, Buddha says you should go to a secluded place. You should go to a monastery. You should go to a retreat. But that effort only isn't enough. Then the practice, it is introducing a second type of seclusion. This second type of seclusion is mental seclusion. And how to experience mental seclusion? Let's say you bring your attention to the breathing or to your steps. By bringing your attention to the breathing, you get rid of the rest of the world. For a tiny bit, for a tiny moment. All the thoughts, you are not appreciating them anymore. All the memories, you are not appreciating them anymore. Instead, you simply fix your attention with the breathing. And let's say you are successful doing it. You could do it for a while, maybe like 15-20 breath cycles. You can really be with the breath. For 15-20 steps, you can really be with the steps. Let's say you have achieved that. I'm sure all of you have achieved that. And when you do that, you can feel a certain level of peace in your mind. That very peace is considered as mental seclusion. Now in your mind you are comfortable. You are comfortable. But that comfort is not permanent. That's the issue. That comfort is temporary. That's the problem. So mental seclusion, that too is appreciated in this practice. But even the mental seclusion, it is not permanent. Your mind is peaceful at the moment, but you know that your mind has the potential to become crazy or create chaos once again. All the memories, thoughts come, anger arises, lust comes, you start burning, you start suffering. So for a short while, you are peaceful. That is due to mental seclusion. But you realize soon the mind gets agitated again. So mental seclusion is also appreciated in this practice. But the problem is that it is not permanent. That's the issue. Even the yogis before Buddha, they have found this. They have found bodily seclusion. They have found mental seclusion. They could stay peaceful for a while. That is true. But even after spending few hours peacefully, again the agitation arises. Again the worries arises. Again family problems, memories arise. So you can see, although the mental seclusion feels nice, that is not permanent. It is temporary, and you know your mind has the potential to create chaos once again. That potential is there in your mind. So for a short while, feeling peaceful, feeling comfortable, that is appreciated. Second level of seclusion is appreciated. But that's the practice doesn't end there. You have to continue even further. But feeling mental seclusion, probably for the very first time of your life, it feels so much peaceful. You feel this calming kind of experience. So probably for the very first time of your life, you are experiencing a different state of your mind. You have only known chaos probably. But now, due to the practice, you see a certain space in your mind. That space is really appreciated, and that space is life-changing for many people. They come with a chaotic mind. They have only seen this agitation in their life. But now, for the very first time, they feel a certain level of calm or peace in their mind. That very experience, some people, they say that I think I felt like I have gotten enlightened. That type of a feeling, that is when it appears for the very first time. Because that person has only seen chaos throughout his life. It's like being in a possession. And being possessed, that person thinks that this is the only reality of my mind. But for the very first time, they are seeing something outside of this. Mental seclusion, calming mind they experience. And that very experience is life-changing. That very experience might create so much energy, motivation towards the practice. So it gives motivation. It supports you towards the practice. But the journey never ends there. Even the yogis before Buddha, they have found it. But what happens is that they got to know that this mental seclusion, this peace is temporary. It is not permanent. Again the agitation comes. Again the anger comes. Again certain family problems appear. Right? So the third type of seclusion Buddha is suggesting is the seclusion from attachment. That is the third type. And if you find this seclusion, then that is the real thing Buddha is saying. But this journey, first one and second one, probably easily approached. You can catch it easily. You can experience it easily. But seclusion from attachment, that very second person in your mind, seclusion from that person, it takes lot of time and effort. It takes lot of patience. But patiently you have to continue for many months, many years. Then you can feel that you have a relative seclusion from attachment. It hasn't disappeared completely, but relative to the place that you have started, now you feel a certain seclusion from the attachment. Now, how can we turn our practice towards this third part? Most people, they come to the first thing, first seclusion, they achieve the mental seclusion, and for many years, they get stuck there. We have seen many yogis who are talking about the calm, the emptiness, the void, those type of experiences. They are saying, this is my goal, this is my target. I want to feel that calmness in my meditation. If I feel it, that is successful. I want to feel that emptiness in my meditation. If I feel it, I am successful. So they keep striving towards that goal. And they identify it as their practice. But this third type of seclusion, it is different. The practice takes a turn towards this third type of seclusion. And probably I can suggest this third type of seclusion arises by observing likes and dislikes. That type of experience, that type of observation is recommended for a seasoned yogi. For example, we can take one experience from today's sitting session. We were sitting peacefully, then a gang of monkeys came and surrounded the building. Right? They kept walking on the roof, then they went to this side and they did some disaster over there. Right? So that's that very experience all of us, we have gone through. What triggers in your mind when that happens? That is the very observation that we have to do if we are really interested in the third type of seclusion. Most people, if they are concentration concerned, they will start blaming those monkeys, cursing those monkeys. All those type of reactions come. Anger arises. Some people will go and peek through the windows. So that those type of reactions appear and it feels like they are disturbing our meditation. It feels like bad karma for the monkeys. Some of you might even try to advise them saying, you are gathering so much bad karma trying to disturb these meditating yogis. Right? That type of a reaction might come in the mind. But you have to understand, they are giving us meditation advice. They are doing a Q&A. Right? It's not the formal one. It's an informal version of a Q&A. They are asking you whether you are getting irritated towards that sound. If you are getting irritated, then you have attachment towards the peaceful state that you were experiencing. That is the very thing. When you finish your walking session, when you go back to your usual daily activities, do you feel irritated? If you feel so, then you have an attachment towards the walking session. When you exit your sitting session or certain disturbances come to your sitting session, do you feel irritated? Then you have attachment towards the sitting session. When you have to finish, go back home again. That was a popular topic in the Q&A today. Finishing a retreat and going back home. If you feel irritated, if you feel annoyance towards the new environment, then probably you have attachment towards this peaceful place. So you can see, it doesn't matter that we are peaceful temporarily. It doesn't matter we are peaceful in a sitting or a walking session. It doesn't matter that we are peaceful in this meditation hall. When you go back to the usual environments, when you go back home, if you get agitated, if you feel angry or dislikes towards certain things, then you have attachment in your mind. You are not secluded from that second person, the second person in your mind. So for a seasoned yogi, we would recommend that they keep observing likes and dislikes in their mind. You don't have to go search for irritating experiences. That is not necessary. Free service is there that will bring you certain difficulties. Sickness might come to you. When sickness comes, there is an observation that you can do. When certain weather changes, certain probably injuries, certain insect bites, when those things come, you have to observe your mind. I remember one time we were doing a retreat, and on that day they wanted to visit the upper monastery. So I told him that you can go, but try to maintain your mindfulness throughout the journey. Right? And they went during the lunch hour, and even the whole monastery could hear a scream in the middle of that journey. The whole monastery could hear. And during the Q&A, one person was saying, Bhante, I was mindful for the initial part of the journey till a leech bit me. Then I was screaming, trying to run away from that environment. All those reactions came from me. Right? So you can see those troubles will come free of charge. And there are other people who will do a free service. They will come, they will make you irritated. Don't worry, you don't have to go search for such experiences. Free of charge, they will come and they do this service. Even in this retreat, there will be some people who will be doing that service. They didn't come to meditate. They came for that very service. They are doing it free of charge. Even at Buddha's times, there were certain monks who were destined to do that service. They didn't appreciate the meditation, they didn't appreciate the practice, no. Instead, they specifically came to do that very service. Buddha says, go to village with your ball. Go Pindapata with your ball. These people, they put their ball on their heads and go on Pindapata. Then again another complaint comes, says these people are behaving like this. Then Buddha says, don't put the ball on your head. Then these people, they are rotating the ball on a finger and going to the village. So many times, probably like 20 or so times, they have done various things with the ball only. And all those things, rules are there. You can't put your ball on your head. You can't rotate it and go to Pindapata. So 16, 20 rules are there only for the ball. And all of us, we have to protect them now, trying to hold the ball like a baby, not to do anything with it. Right? So you can see, free of charge, they came, they established all the rules and everything. So irritations are freely coming. You don't have to go search for them, hunt for them. Instead, the sickness is natural to this body. When the sickness comes, observe your mind. You might get to experience a lot of attachment in such moments. Other people come and irritate you. You might be able to experience attachment during those moments. Certain weather changes, certain other things happen in the world. you might be able to experience attachment in your mind. So this observing likes and dislikes, that's the very way to figure out the third type of seclusion. Without that, you are not really secluded. You might be living in a monastery, but you are not peaceful. You might be a monk with a shaved head, but still you are not peaceful. You might be in a faraway forest, but still you are suffering due to the second person. So if you want real comfort, if you want real peace, then you have to get rid of this very second person the Buddha is talking. You have to figure out the seclusion from attachment. That's the only way that you can find real peace in this life. So don't be reluctant to go back home. That is necessary part of your practice. Don't try to stay here forever. Instead, take that opportunity to practice. Again, after a few weeks, few months, you can come back to this peaceful environment. Again, keep practicing. Right? So that way, if you continue for few months, few years, then you realize, I have gotten rid of attachment to a certain degree. Not fully, not 100%. But still you feel that the status I used to be in, compared to that state, I am much better off now. Still I get angry, but it doesn't go into extremes. Still I feel lust in my mind, but it doesn't go to breaking a precept. Still I feel irritated towards certain situations, but it is not so terrible. That very experience you can get. Now you are experiencing that you have gotten rid of attachment in your mind into a certain degree. And when you do that, no matter where you go, you feel home in it. You might be living in a monastery, you feel happy and comfortable. You might go to a busy city, still you feel happy and comfortable in your mind. That very change is the way to find real seclusion in your mind. Wherever you are peaceful there. I remember one of the books from Friedrich Nietzsche, Zarathustra. In that book, Zarathustra, he is a yogi kind of a thing, and he is in a mountain meditating. And one day he thought to himself, I should go to the fish market today. Being secluded, living in a forest, no people to encounter, he was in a such peaceful environment. But one day he decided that I should go to the fish market today. Go to the noises, go among people, go among all those, that chaos. And if my peace is real, then I can be peaceful in that environment as well. So it's a good experiment that he had done, because if the peace is not real, then he can start feeling agitations when he reaches that destination. So in order for you to experience real peace, you have to find seclusion from attachment. Without that, you can't be really in peace. I remember some stories are there in the commentary, and it is saying that one monk living in a forest, he thought that he was enlightened, living in a forest. And one day he thought, oh, I am enlightened, no. Why am I staying in a forest now? I should go to the village, I should live there. So he came to the village. As soon as he entered the village, he realized that he wasn't enlightened. Why? When the village appears, the people appear. When the village appears, women appears. When the village appears, dogs appears. Right? See the dogs surrounding even this place, creating so much chaos. Right? And when the village appears, the person realized, I wasn't enlightened. Due to the absence of objects, I felt peaceful, I was at peace. But now when the people appears, when the chaos appears, I feel I am not at peace. So you can really see only by being secluded from attachment, that's how you can find true peace. That might take some time. It might take few years, but that's worth it. You keep on observing your reactions in the mind. Keep on observing likes and dislikes. And that very practice will gradually lead you towards real peace. Whether you are in a monastery, whether you are at home, you will be peaceful. And that is the real comfort that you can find. That is the real way to get rid of the second person in your life. That is the real way to not take delight in company. So that's the idea for today. I hope it was useful.